So how are you all doing this morning? Have Rachel and Chris been like bringing it this morning or what? I gotta tell you, I'm so excited to be here today. We're gonna be talking about tapping. How many of you, I know Rachel asked, how many of you have done tapping in the past? I love it, they're my tappers. How many of you before today was like, what is tapping? Is this guy gonna be tap dancing on stage or something? Yeah? No, I don't tap dance. I do ballroom dance classes with my wife twice a week. Any ballroom dancers? None, literally none. So no tap dancing. We're gonna be talking about tapping, otherwise known as EFT or emotional freedom techniques. This is a technique that combines ancient Chinese acupressure with modern psychology. It involves literally tapping on different meridian endpoints of the body. And we use this for stress relief, anxiety relief, for overwhelm, really for reducing the intensity of any negative emotions that we feel, like anger, sadness, hurt, fear, guilt, shame, loneliness. Any of you feel some of those emotions and wouldn't mind feeling them a little bit less sometimes, right? So we use the tapping to lower the intensity on those emotions. And we also use the tapping to literally rewire the way the brain, body, and nervous system react to our external circumstances. So here's what I mean by that. Let's say that you were in a quiet hallway back here somewhere, you got away from the thousands of other people, and you're having a quiet conversation with a friend, deep in thought, and I just come up behind you with a big book and I just slam it on the ground. Your reaction would probably be to turn, and you'd go, what is this guy doing? You'd process what it was and then move about your day. If you were somebody suffering from PTSD, from war, from a school shooting, from some other type of gun violence, your body would have a different reaction. You might go into a panic attack or an anxiety attack. You might have a flashback. You might jump to the floor because your nervous system is wired differently. Does that make sense? Now, a more everyday example of that, which I think you can all relate to, is let's say you're at work and somebody makes some type of critical comment towards you. Maybe you messed something up, maybe you didn't, but they said something towards you that just wasn't nice. Now, one person can take that information and go, you know what, I don't care what that person said, like whatever, maybe they're having a bad day, I'm gonna do my best. Another person on another day can take that in and be totally caught off guard, totally hurt, go into a downward spiral, beat themselves up, get angry. How many of you ever had your day ruined by what somebody said to you one day and you just went into a whole downward spiral, right? So we can use the tapping to rewire the way the brain and body and nervous system react to our external circumstances. Because as much as we'd like to blame those external circumstances for our life, the economy, politics, our spouse, our kids. I got 3 kids, 6, 8, and 10. It's stressful, right? And as much as we like to blame our external circumstances on our internal life and how we feel, it's our internal circumstances that make the difference. That's what makes us happy, fulfilled, joyful. It's what goes on inside. So we can use the tapping to literally rewire the way we react to those external circumstances. So we're going to do some of that today. Now, tapping can be used for so many different things. Weight loss, body confidence, financial success, personal fulfillment, insomnia, pain relief. Amazing for pain relief for any of you who have pain. But today, since we're here on Health Day at the RISE conference, we're going to talk about health. And so what I want to do to start this conversation is I want to ask you all a question. Have you ever struggled to get yourself to do something that you absolutely know you should do for your health? Like eating well, like exercising, like not having the cookies and the pizza and the pasta, or not watching another episode of something on Netflix when you know you should go and exercise, right? How many of you raise your hands? Raise them high. If you're not raising your hand, you just don't like raising hands. Or you're an alien, in which case, welcome to Earth. We all mess up here. It's what we do. So yeah, we all do that. That's a part of life. The more important question is, did you then have negative self-talk and stress and anxiety and guilt and shame and lack confidence about yourself because of it? Did you beat yourself up? Did you say, why can't I eat better? I go on social media, I see people exercising, they post pictures of their salads, and you're like, I don't want to eat a salad right now. Right? The challenge is that these emotions that we feel, these negative emotions, not only about our body, our weight, how we feel about ourselves, but around our finances and our relationships and our kids, they keep us stuck where we are and unable to move forward. So what I want to do today is I want to give you an experience of tapping, of how you can use this technique. And here's the thing. I could tell you all about tapping logically, right? Now, logically, Rachel kind of set this up. She said, it's a little weird, right? Like, really, we're going to tap on your face, and it's going to make you feel better. How many of you think it's a little bit weird? Yep, I've been doing it for 15 years. I still think it's weird, okay? So logically, it's weird, and so what I want to do is give you an experience because that's how you can feel what it's like. Because I could tell you about the 12 years of work I've done with my brother Nick and my sister Jessica, 11 years of annual Tapping World Summits, 3 million people, 10 different books, 2 New York Times bestsellers. We have a new app that we launched in October. I mean, amazing work we've done with tapping. I can tell you about the work we've done with our Tapping Solution Foundation, helping veterans with PTSD. You saw some of them in that video in the beginning. I could tell you about the genocide survivors in Rwanda that we helped. I could tell you about the parents who lost children in my very own hometown of Newtown, Connecticut, at the Sandy Hook school shooting. It's about a mile from my house. I could tell you about the parents we worked with, the first responders. But all that is intellectual learning. It's not an experience. I want to give you an experience today because what I don't want is I don't want tapping to be something you learned at a seminar and you went home and you didn't use it. Like that piece of exercise equipment that I know a lot of you have in your basement, where somebody comes over and they go, oh, you got one of those. And you go, yep. And they go, do you use it? You go, nope. Right? Like this one right here. This is my favorite. I have vivid memories as a kid of going over friends' houses and trying to get on this thing, trying to figure out how to slide it. Eventually, both legs are back. I'm falling over. I mean, if any of you have this and have mastered it, you're better than me because I still don't know how to use this machine. So we're going to do the tapping, but before we get to that, I want to give you a little bit of a foundation as to why we do the tapping. So from my experience, there are 3 things that are critical for your health. Now, these first 2 are pretty obvious. It's putting good, healthy food in your body. I'm dairy-free, gluten-free, love being on a healthy diet, changed my life 20 years ago because I went to a seminar like this. And then it's moving your body, it's exercising, it's challenging your muscles. Now, these are the things that I'm sure you're all used to hearing about. It's what we have a billion-dollar weight loss industry around, so much health information. The challenge is that the third thing that's critical for your health is so often not talked about, and when it is talked about, it's not common practice. And it affects the first 2 things in a major, major way. That third thing is resetting your nervous system. It's resetting your nervous system. So you might be asking, what does that mean? What does resetting your nervous system mean? It means turning off the amygdala in the brain and getting out of a fight, flight, or freeze state. Now, if you're somebody you're into the green juices and the smoothies and the exercises, I'm a big Beachbody fan. I do 21-day workouts all the time. If you're into all that stuff, knowing this basic brain science is so critical for you to know for your health. So here's what the amygdala does. The amygdala looks at our external circumstances and based on previous information and contextual information, decides if something is safe or not. So here's what I mean by contextual information. Let's say you go to a haunted house. You walk in, somebody jumps out, you scream, ah! Maybe not like a 6-year-old girl like me, but you scream in a better way. You would scream, and then you might laugh if you're somebody who's into going to haunted houses, not me again there. That's contextual information. If at another time you're walking down a dark alleyway at nighttime and somebody jumps out, that's totally different contextual information. Does that make sense? Your amygdala will process that differently. So the amygdala looks at our external circumstances, looks at our previous information and contextual information, and decides if something is safe or not. Now, this has been critical for our survival for thousands and thousands of years. The amygdala is part of the limbic system, the old reptilian part of the brain. And thousands of years ago, when we're in the wild and some little piece of tall grass moves in a way that it shouldn't, our amygdala fires, our body responds and goes, you know what, that might be a tiger or a snake or something dangerous. And so body mechanisms are set into place. Blood flows away from the body into the arms and legs, because we need to be able to run away, to fight, although hopefully you don't have to fight a tiger because you're probably going to lose, or to freeze, which also has some important body mechanisms in terms of what it does. Now, the challenge is that today, in our modern day and age, our amygdala is constantly firing. It fires because of the boss at work, because of the kids at home, because of worrying about the bills, because of stressing about our exercise and how we look and how we feel. So our amygdala is constantly firing in this day and age. Now, the challenge is that this has some major consequences on how we act and react every day. Two major consequences. Number one, it hijacks the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex is the largest in humans out of any animal. And here's what it's responsible for. It's responsible for decision making. It controls our thoughts and actions in accordance with our goals. It differentiates between good and bad. It sees future consequences. It works towards defined goals. It predicts outcomes of our behavior. Do you think some of those things are a little bit important to be able to get yourself to exercise or make a good food decision or something like that? So here's what typically happens. We're all stressed out from work. We get home. We go to the fridge, trying to figure out what to eat. We grab a cookie to eat, and then all of a sudden it's 2 cookies. Then it's 3, and then we finish off the whole box. Who's ever finished off a whole box of cookies and then all of a sudden been like, what did I do? Right? Here's why. When you got home and you were stressed out, the amygdala was firing. You had some food. The food worked to calm down your nervous system because food works. And then your prefrontal cortex comes back online, and you go, what did I do? But you didn't realize you couldn't make a good decision because of the high level of stress and anxiety. Now, it's a spectrum. So it's not like, oh, I'm a little bit stressed and I can't make any decision in my life. An example of a level 10, like 0 out of 10, would be an anxiety attack, a panic attack. How many of you ever had an anxiety attack? And I'm raising my hand too. Yeah, it doesn't feel good, right? Now imagine you're in the middle of an anxiety attack and somebody comes up to you and goes, what should we have for dinner tonight? Should we have a salad, or should we just have some pizza? Should we splurge? Right? Like, you can't even process the question alone when you're at a level 10. So that's a level 10. But most people feel like, well, I'm not at a level 10. Maybe I'm at a 6 or a 7, so I can make decisions. But the reality is that you can't make the quality of decision that you can at a 6 or a 7 that you could at a 3 or a 2, because your prefrontal cortex is more online. So here's the other thing that it does. It releases chemicals that change our body mechanisms. Right? I said before that blood flows away from the body into the arms and limbs because we have to be able to run away or fight. And here's some of the things it does. Organs that are not vital to survival slow down. Our reproductive system slows down. Our immune system slows down. That's because when we're fighting that tiger or that snake, fighting a cancer cell in our body or a bacteria or a virus, it doesn't matter in that moment. We're just trying to survive. Our digestive system slows down. This is the cruel part about it. Like, you're working hard, exercising, eating well, and yet you struggle to lose weight, or you have digestive issues or health challenges because your digestive system is not working properly. So it's no surprise that chronic stress has been shown to contribute to heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, obesity, weakened immune system, gastrointestinal disorders, skin irritation, respiratory infections, autoimmune diseases, insomnia, depression, anxiety disorders. It sounds like the end of a drug commercial. So you might be wondering, why am I talking about all this brain science right now? I thought we were going to talk about tapping. And here's why. Research shows that when we tap, when we activate these endpoints of meridians of the body, we send a calming signal to the amygdala of the brain. We send a calming signal to the amygdala, letting it know that it's safe and that it can relax. Also, it changes DNA expression. It reduces cortisol levels in the body. Cortisol has been shown to be connected with weight gain or an inability to lose weight. And brain scans show that it changes how our brain reacts to junk food. Really amazing research study done in Australia with Dr. Petta Stapleton. She had a group of mostly women. It was mostly chocolate they were working with, not surprisingly. I know I'm married. And while they were doing the brain scan, they would look at the food and the brain would light up. They'd have a craving for that food. 8 weeks of tapping, I believe it was 8 weeks, and at the end, they did the brain scans again. So they went into the machine again, did the brain scan while looking at the food, and the brain no longer lit up because the wiring had changed to no longer want that food anymore. So here's the important question. Are you ready to learn how to tap? Awesome. So right here, and if you've got your workbooks out, you can open them up to page 22, and you'll see this right here, because it's not going to stay on the screen the whole time. So what we first do, and I know I went through a lot of information there just now and all this brain science, so let's go ahead and all just kind of sit up in our chair, and let's take a deep breath in, and breathe out. And one more time, let's breathe in, and breathe out. So the first part that we do is we choose the most pressing issue. Now, I know you've been working on stuff all morning long, and you've been thinking about those things, so you probably have some things on your mind right now. Because here's the thing, you know and I know that when you get home, those challenges are still going to be there. The money, the kids, the relationship, the job, all those different things. So I want you to think about what is it that is causing you the most stress and anxiety in your life right now. And just feel into that. And I'll tell you with the tapping, the more you connect with it, the more you put into it right now, the more you're going to get out of it. So take another deep breath in and breathe out. How many of you have something on your mind where you know you're connected to something? Okay, awesome. So I want you to also feel into your body. Do you feel it as a tightness in your stomach, a tightness in your throat? Do you feel restriction? Do you have a headache? Just notice how your body feels right now. And if you have some pain today, if you came here with some physical pain, just notice where that physical pain is. Because although we're not going to tap on the pain, very often when we tap, we release physical pain. So just kind of, if your knee hurts, move it a little bit, just notice what you feel. And we're going to go ahead and rate the intensity of this most pressing issue on a scale of 0 to 10, where 10 is at its anxiety, panic attack level, very, very high, and 0 is like, no, it's nothing. So just notice what that is for you. There's no right or wrong answer. It's whatever you feel is right in your body. So just notice what that is. And then we're going to go ahead and craft the setup statement. And the setup statement goes like this. Even though, and then you fill in the blank. So you might say, even though I'm so stressed about work, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Now that second part of the statement, I deeply and completely love and accept myself, it's not always easy to say. If you're somebody who hasn't felt loved in your life, if you grew up with challenges like so many of us have, it might not be easy to say that. So sometimes we can change the language to say, even though I'm stressed, I acknowledge how I feel. Or I accept that I'm feeling this way. Because so often it's our inability to accept and acknowledge how we're feeling that keeps us stuck in the patterns that we do every day of self-sabotage and things like that. So we're going to go ahead and do some tapping. And here's how it goes. So we start off on the karate chop point right here. And we're going to tap together. And I'll say a statement, and then you just repeat it back. Even though I have all this stress and anxiety, I acknowledge how I'm feeling. Even though I have all this anxiety, and it can feel overwhelming, I accept that this is how I feel right now. Even though I have all this stress and anxiety, and I don't know what to do with it, I choose to love and accept myself anyway. And then we're going to go through the 8 different points on the body. Now, ordinarily, if you were doing this just by yourself, you'd have a simple reminder phrase. That might be all this stress, all this stress, all this stress. Now, when I tap with you, I'll change the language a little bit just to kind of flow through it. But if you're doing it at home, you can just use that simple language. So we'll go back to the eyebrow point. And you don't worry about it being perfect. We just tap with a little bit of pressure. You can do it on one side of the face, on both sides of the face. And you got a little diagram, but just copy me. You can't get it wrong. So on the eyebrow point, all this stress. Side of the eye, it's so overwhelming. Under the eye, all this stress in my body. Under the nose, I want to find a way to release it. Chin point, all this stress in my body. Collarbone point, and the collarbone is, if you find your collarbone, you go down an inch and out an inch. You can go with both. You can go with one hand on both. You can do a gorilla style like I do in my kids' book for kids. Whatever you feel comfortable with. Say, all this stress. Then the next one is under the arm. It's about the bra line for women. All this stress in my body. And the last one here is the top of the head. There's lots of different points. You can move around or stay in one spot. All this stress and anxiety. We can go back to the eyebrow point. I want to find a way to release it. Side of the eye. I'm tired of living like this. Under the eye. I choose to breathe into my body. Under the nose. I want to let my body know it's safe. Chin point, to relax in this moment. Collarbone point, I don't need all this stress. Under the arm, it's not helping me to think. Top of the head, I want to find a way to release it. Eyebrow point, but I just don't know how. Side of the eye, what if I could release it? Under the eye, and feel calm in my body. Under the nose, knowing I'm safe in this moment. Chin point, and everything is okay. Collarbone point, I choose to breathe into my body. Under the arm, everything is okay. Top of the head, releasing the stress and anxiety. Eyebrow point, allowing my body to relax. Side of the eye, allowing my body to feel safe. Under the eye, in this moment right now. Under the nose, releasing the stress and anxiety. Chin point, choosing to feel safe. Collarbone point, I can relax in my body. Under the arm, and let my amygdala know I'm okay. Top of the head, everything is okay. And just stop there and take a deep breath in and breathe out. And so that was just a few rounds of tapping. And what we do after we do the tapping is we want to check back and re-rate where the intensity was on that stress and anxiety. How many of you feel like your stress or anxiety went down while you were doing that tapping? Just raise your hands, raise them high. Yeah, look around the room, look at all those hands. That was just a couple minutes of tapping. If you didn't raise your hand, that's okay. Sometimes it's finding the right language or tuning into the right thing. It's all just feedback to let us know what direction we need to move into. So that was just a few rounds of tapping that you did on your own. And the tapping, what you learned right there, you can do it anytime on your own. You can go through that basic process. You can learn more about it on our website, on other websites. You can go on YouTube and learn about it. But the resource I'm going to recommend you check out is our Tapping Solution app. Now, the really cool thing about this is that for the first time in 15 years, we have a ton of data on how it's actually changing people when they go through it. Because just like we did right here, you rate at the beginning and you rate at the end. And you can see that releasing anxiety, 42% reduction in anxiety in just 9 minutes. And it says 83,000. I know the number is actually about 130,000 now. It's still 42%. 50% decrease in trouble sleeping, 46% increase in motivation. You can go and use this tool or do the tapping at any moment when you want. So here's the thing. The interesting thing about being a speaker who does tapping is that I calm the audience down. And people start yawning sometimes. I don't take it personally. I know Rachel said you can't yawn. It's okay during this part right here. I'm not going to make you stand up and dance. Don't worry. I don't take it personally. But here's the thing, I want to raise the energy a little bit and do a little more tapping. So if you would all stand up. And just take a deep breath in. Because here's the thing, the tapping works. I've been doing it for 15 years. I still think it's crazy the results I see every day. But it works to calm down your amygdala, to let you know that you're safe. It reduces those intense emotions that we feel every day. It allows our prefrontal cortex to come back online. But here's the thing, when it does, you're going to have to choose what kind of a life you're going to live. When that prefrontal cortex comes back online, you choose what emotions you're going to live with. Are you going to live with joy, with passion, with love? Who are you going to allow into your life? How are you going to feel about yourself? How are you going to talk about yourself internally every single day? So with the tapping, we can also make choices. So we're going to make some choices right now. And we're going to start right on the eyebrow point. It's my choice. Side of the eye, I get to choose every day. Under the eye, how I feel. Under the nose, and I choose me. Collarbone point, I choose to take care of my life. Collarbone point, I choose me. Under the arm, this is my body. Top of the head, I choose to take care of it. Eyebrow, and love it a little more. Side of the eye, and accept it a little more. Under the nose, and forgive myself. Chin point, for all those times in the past. Collarbone point, when I was just doing the best I knew how. Under the arm, I choose to love my body. Top of the head, and love myself in this moment. Eyebrow point, I choose to feel gratitude. Side of the eye, for the life I want to live. Under the eye, I choose to feel grateful. Under the nose, knowing that everything will be okay. Chin point, that I'm okay in this moment. Collarbone point, I choose a little more love. Under the arm, and a little more acceptance. Top of the head, knowing that everything is okay. Just stop there, take a deep breath in, put your hand on your heart, and just breathe it in. And allow yourself to feel, knowing that everything is okay. Thank you all so very much for tapping with me today. That's my time today. I love you all. Thank you all so very much.